Today, we will be discussing cosmetic psychopharmacology. By definition, cosmetic psychopharmacology is the use of drugs to move people from a normal psychological state to another normal state that is more desired or better socially rewarded, and generally refers to the use of psychoactive medications by normal, healthy individuals for the purpose of enhancement rather than treatment of a formal pathology. For generations, a limited understanding of the human psyche and how to treat its issues has slowed the progress of understanding and treating the human condition. The stigma that surrounds the field of mental health causes psychological issues to be separate from physical problems, yet all pertain to the human condition. Thus, the usage of psychopharmaceuticals such as Prozac by socially and medically normal individuals is acceptable in that as medical science evolves, more potent medications with positively life-changing effects become available, and it is right to use these medications as we do medications that treat physiological ills. It would be wrong to deny a seeking patient a potentially beneficial treatment. Our primary focus today is on Dr. Peter Kramer, famous psychiatrist and author of Listening to Prozac, in which he discusses the ethical consequences of treating a healthy individual in the interest of improving their competitive edge, as well as the ethical defensibility of refusing to provide treatment in the same situation. Psychopharmaceuticals include sedatives, antidepressants, and psychostimulants, as well as mood stabilizers and antipsychotic drugs. Disorders that are treated generally fall under the category of depression, such as manic depression or major depressive disorder. In Listening to Prozac, in a chapter titled Makeover, Dr. Kramer focuses on his patient, a woman named Tess, who is a serious, strong-minded, and successful businesswoman with strong ties to her obligation and perseveres in her life despite a traumatic past. Diagnosed by Kramer with signs of depression, she is initially prescribed imipramine and shows only slight improvement, yet notices the side effects, and is then given Prozac, which results in a transformation. Uh, Tess is now less weighed down by obligations, more confident, and has less of a victim mentality and is more sure of herself in her life. She seems to be cured of her depression and returns for more after being off of the medication to provide the positive effects that she felt during her initial treatment, yet now she has no actual medical need. Kramer, who had been following her progress ever since she became his patient, found himself questioning if it would be right to prescribe the unneeded medications, yet did so anyways for the reasons of radical improvements that Tess showed during her time on Prozac. So, some moral implications on this would include that with such profound transformative effects, the generally accepted concept that the who of people is largely biologically determined is now challenged, and whereas any perceived negative values that might have once been seen as inherent flaws with medication can now be seen as treatable defects. We risk dehumanization in that if we treat all problems of the human condition as mechanistic, we will see the inexplicable traits that make us who we are become treatable and thus undesirable illnesses. For example, when Tess returns to Dr. Kramer, she says, "I am not myself," referring to the improved self during her time on medication, bringing about the question of, does this mean that the medication removed the constraint on her true identity, or did it induce the formation of a new, more confident identity? So, some responses. One in specific, in particular, a Dr. Carol Freeman, author of the book Enhancing Human Traits, Ethical and Social Implications, right, argues against Kramer's concept, saying that Kramer's concept of using Prozac to treat emotional issues is the same as using pain medication to treat a headache. She says that the problem lies within the relationship between the type of pain and the situation. She says that that the relationship between emotions and the situation causing the emotions is that emotions are intentional and not based on the situation itself, but the individual perception and response to said perception. Emotions require merit, whereas the relationship between pain and its causal situation is completely based on the situation. The perception of physical pain is the physiological response to a credible stimulus. It does not require merit or justification because it is substantial. If we view emotional problems as issues that can be fixed, then we lose our personhood and we lose our uniqueness as well as the experience that make us who we are. A slippery slope to Kramer's argument of using um, psychopharmaceuticals as a treatment for normal people seeking help is that the line between depressive symptoms and thus the symptoms that qualify a patient for psychopharmaceuticals and normal human problems is very blurred and causes confusion for doctors who wish to help their patient yet are unsure of the ethical dilemma of such a decision. And it brings about the question of when does the socially accepted usage of prescription medication slip into the less acceptable drug abuse and drug dependence? This is already present in our society with many healthy, normal individuals obtaining, whether by prescription or via a dealer, such medications in the pursuit of attitude adjustment, cognitive stimulation, or relief of self diagnosed issues. This is also known as self medication.